Hi guys. So earlier during morning meeting, Miss Rebecca told you that we were going to be doing a science experiment with sink or float. So I have a big bucket of water here, and I have a little chart that you can make right at home with the materials that you're going to use. And I just listed the materials that we're going to try and test and experiment to see if they sink or float. And then I have a column for sink and a column for float, and we are going to mark off with a marker or crayon or whatever you have at home whether the item sinks or floats. So the things that I have around my house that we're going to test are a stick, a little twig, I have Legos, a leaf, a small rock, an egg. This is a real egg from the kitchen. A cookie, a ball, and this is a fake, like a plastic ball, and a small fake plastic coin. So, really quickly with your families, I want you to make a prediction. Remember, we said a prediction is a guess. I want you to make a prediction. Which items do you think will sink? Which items do you think will float? And we are going to start with the stick. So Miss Rebecca talked to you about sink and float, and she told you what they mean. Do you remember what sink means? Good. Sink means that it goes down. It goes to the bottom of the water. And what about float? What would it mean if the item was floating? Good, it would sit on top of the water. It would not go to the bottom. So if it sinks, it's going to go to the bottom, and if it floats, it will sit on top. So let's try our stick. What's your prediction? Will it sink or float? Let's test it out. What's the stick doing? It's floating. Good job. So this item is floating. Let's try the Legos. Will the Legos sink or float? Let's see. What's happening to them? Looks like they're floating too. Okay, let's try a leaf. Leaf is the next thing on my list. Do you think it'll sink or float? See, it's floating. So far we have 3 items that are floating. Let's try our rock. Do you think the rock is going to sink or float? Let's see. Whoa, where did the rock go? It's all the way at the bottom. So did it sink or float? Good job. It sunk. It went to the bottom. Why do you think the rock sunk? I don't know. Let's see what else sinks and what else floats. We have our egg next. Our egg. Sink or float? What's your prediction? Let's test it. What happened to the egg? The egg sunk too. Okay. Next, we're going to do our cookie. Do you think it'll sink or float? Let's try it. Oh, the cookie is floating. Very good. Next, we're going to try the ball, our plastic ball. Do you think it's going to sink or float? Let's see. Oh, it's floating. Good job. And our last one is our fake plastic coin. That one's floating too. Take a look at the cookie. What happened to the cookie? What was it doing at first? It was floating, and then it got wet and it got heavy, so it sunk to the bottom. So that is what happens with some things. They are heavy or they are light. So our rock and our egg, do you think that they are heavy or light? Are they heavier or lighter than a leaf? Yeah, they would be heavier. That's why the egg and the rock sank, because they were heavy. And these items are lighter, so they float. So on your chart, we're gonna mark it off. Did the stick sink or float? It floated, so we're gonna put an X on float. Did the Legos sink or float? They floated. How about the leaf? Float, good job. And the rock? It sunk right to the bottom, good job. How about the egg? It sank. And the cookie? At first it floated and then it got heavier and it sunk. So at first it floated, but then it sank because it was heavy, so it sunk. How about the ball? Float, good job. And last, our fake coin. Did it sink or float? Here it is. It floated, so we're gonna put float. So let's look at our materials. How many sunk? 1, 2, 3. And how many floated? 1, count with me. 2, 3, 4, 5. So did more of our items sink or did more of our items float? Good job. More of the items that we tested floated. But at home, I want you to make your own experiment and pick your own items from around the house and decide if they sink or if they float. And I want you to send me some pictures and videos and let me know if you like doing this at home. Bye.